Hey there nation, and welcome to the show where we help you to play miniatures wargaming on a budget. It is I, Commander Cheapskate, and welcome to the episode of Weight of the Underhive. This series is dedicated to helping brand new players to Necromunda build their starting rosters and learn more about the game mechanics of their favorite gangs. And on today's episode we'll discuss playing a Secundan Incursion Gang for your games of Necromunda Hive Secundus. We will discuss the current conditions for the Secundan Incursion Gang, the Orrus Spyrer Leader that will be leading your gang, the Saar Tek Specialists and what kind of things they provide for your gang as well. We'll also discuss some challenges of playing in the Secundan Incursion Campaign and provide a 1,250 credit starting roster for your very first campaign. Now, because this video will be more of a deeper dive, I will put timestamps in the description box down below so that way you can click and navigate to the part of the video that interests you the most. So first of all, let's go and talk about exactly what the Secundan Incursion Gang is. Just give you guys some background information for it. This is the current gang setting that we have for the Hive Secundus campaign that came in the starter box. Just to give you guys a little bit of background, you get 1,250 credits in order to build your gang, and you can build your gang on any of the 6 houses that are currently in the core set of Necromunda as well. Your leader, of course, will be a Spire Hunter leader, and at the same time, you'll be using this gang for your campaigns of Hive Secundus. So with that being said, let's go and talk about the current conditions of what it's like to be in the Secundan Incursion campaign system. So currently, the only leader you can have for your gang right now is a Spire Hunter, which is an Oras Spire Hunter, which is one of those large, close combat, close quarters engagement style Spire Hunter rigs that you guys saw at the very beginning of the release of the box set. At the same time, according to the rules, you can use any of these 6 houses that you want for your gang. However, they only give you the rules for the new Saar Techs, which are the new specialist class of fighters. Now, whether they're going to be more specialist class like this for the other houses of Necromunda, that part remains to be seen. Hopefully some more light would be shed upon that with the new Book of Desolation coming out here pretty soon. But for now though, the idea is that this campaign, the way it currently stands right now, this type of gang is only designed for the Secundan Incursion Campaign, which is available in the Hive Secundus box set. So this is the only thing you'll be able to use that for now. I've been seeing some comments on my channels from viewers who are asking me like what would my take be on the actual starting roster for this, and that's the reason why I built this video, so that way you can, you know, kind of build your roster based on some of the recommendations I've noticed with the rules set that are currently available for the Secundan campaign. So the things to keep in mind about your gang: currently your leader has to be an Orrus Spyrer Hunter. Now, whether you can get other Spire hunting rigs to be the leader of your gang, or if this gang will be available in future campaigns, that remains to be seen. But just to be said, just to start off right now, the Orrus Spyrer Hunter is a close combat beast. The stats of this fighter is absolutely incredible, made for close range fighting, close range shooting as well. They have some really great special rules where they can double activate, and like things like, for example, the only time they get pinned is if they actually get wounded by a shot, for example, is the only way these guys get pinned as well. Plus they have some really unique advancements, either to the statistics that they have, or for their hunting rig that they actually have, or for the weapons equipment attached to their hunting rig, which is actually quite good. So because of that, the key killer in your gang is going to be Orrus Spyrer Hunter. Now, the most unique thing that's about the Incursion Gang is the specialist that we have, and that takes in the form of the Saar Tek Hunters. Now, they have 4 different specialists that you can choose from when you actually use these guys to recruit your gang. And I've actually ranked these guys in order from the most important to the least important on the list. So let's go and talk about why that's the case. So the first one is probably going to be the most important one for you guys, is going to be the Augurtek. The Augurtek has a character that can basically do a post-action sequence, where basically they can trade in your data crystals in order to secure archeo loot, in order to help your gang advance through the different scenarios of the Secundan campaign. Now, they're the only guys that I'm aware of right now at this point that can actually do that. So because you want to make sure that you keep your Augurteks alive, because these are the guys who are able to get the archeo loot. It's going to help you make them more survivable, make your fighters tougher, give unique abilities as well as weapons in order to survive in the depths of the Underhills. Now, second place, almost tied with first place with the Augurtek, is the Bioteknist. And the reason why is because in the Secundan campaign system, medical escort missions are not possible, and the reason why is because you're supposed to be in Hive Secundus illegally, which means you have no other recourse but to just kind of carry what you have on your back, and that's all you really have with you. So the Bioteknist becomes really important because the Bioteknist specialist is the only one who can do medical escort missions in your gang. If I could, I would actually tie them in first place with Augurteks, because Augurteks kind of like help out with the income system that's based on this campaign system, while the Bioteknist keeps your fighters alive, so they're both equally important. So these are the 2 specialists you really want to double up on. In the campaign rules, you can only take 2 of each type of specialist, so I would suggest you take 2 Augurteks and 2 Bioteknists in each of your guys' gangs. Just that way, you can help your fighters be more survivable. At the same time, you can also get income for your gang in the form of Archeo loot. In third place is going to be the Teknomat. Now, the reason why this guy is important is because you cannot purchase items from the trading post when you're in Hive Secundus, which means you'll need to find some way in order to scrounge up war gear. And the Teknomat has the ability where if they pass an intelligence check, you can get a piece of war gear for free so long as under 25 credits. So things like grenades, for example, hotshot last packs for your weapons, ammunition, scopes, any kind of war gear that you might need to survive, the Teknomat is going to be very important for you to do that. Now, the least most important fighter in this is going to be the Gunntek, in my opinion. And the reason why is because just like the Teknomat, what they do is they actually have to pass an intelligence check and you get a free weapon. The problem with that, though, is the weapon you get has to be 25 credits or less. So there's not that many great options for you to really choose from. So because of that, the Guntek's not going to be all that important. That's kind of like the guy you can kind of go a little bit loose on with your equipment and also creating those guys as well. So once again, my important takeaway here is that Augurteks and Bioteknists are actually the most important, followed by the Teknomat, and then finally by the Gunntek. And the reason why those specialists are so important is because of the issues of playing in a Secundan campaign. Those issues being you cannot visit the trading post, so whatever you have with you is what you're going to be taking with you into the entire campaign, so that's going to be a huge issue. Number 2, there's no medical escort missions available, so if your fighters suffer a critical injury, there's no rogue dock they can go to or a medical escort mission to keep them alive, so your Bioteknist is very, very important. That's why your Augurteks are also very important as well, because you can't go to the trading post as well. You can't recruit any additional fighters to replace the ones that you've lost, because you're kind of by yourself in the middle of this no man's land, so that's going to be a huge issue as well. That's the reason why the Bioteknist is so important, to keep your fighters alive. And lastly, you can't bring any hired guns, hang-arounds, brutes, dramatis personae, or alliances at this point, so you're totally on your own on this one. So because of that, you got to make sure that you have the right number of specialists and the right kind of specialists in your gang, so that way you don't have to worry about, you know, being up a river without anything to help you out. So the last thing you want to do, for example, is to lose all your Augurteks where you can't take advantage of Archaeotech, for example, or not have any Biotechnists who can actually keep your fighters alive in case something happens to them. So that's the reason why your specialists are so important. Now, whether these same specialists will be available in the other gangs of Necromunda in future campaigns, that remains to be seen. But for right now, though, that's what we're going to be focusing on. This is what's in the starting box at this moment. So to be successful in a Hive Secundus campaign, the key takeaways here is that 2 things. 1, you got to worry about survivability, keeping your fighters alive and keeping them reconstituted enough with war gear and equipment so that way they can be viable in the Underhive setting. Because you don't have access to trading posts and you can't get new recruits, keeping your fighters alive and keeping them stocked up with things they need in order to support them in the battlefield is going to be extremely important for you. At the same time, you also want to have a pretty good balance of assault fighters in your gang, which is close quarters combat, as well as some support fighters with either type of different kind of game mechanics to use to survive or to do long range shooting. So you want to make sure you have a pretty well-rounded, well-balanced fighting force in order to make you more successful in your Secundan campaign. And with that being said, let's go and talk about exactly what your roster should look like. Alright, so this is my Secundan Incursion Gang starting roster. It's rated at 1,250 credits, which is the maximum amount that you'll get when you first put your gang together. It basically includes all the specialists that come with the Tech Hunters, as well as your Orrus Spyrer Hunter. I'll be talking about each of the different fighters one individually at a time to talk about exactly what their role is in the gang and basically how best to use them in the campaign. So that being said, let's go ahead and start with your leader. Alright, so let's go ahead and talk about your gang. Your gang is focused primarily on survivability as well as obtaining war gear to keep your fighters reconstituted for the entirety of the campaign. You do have an assault fire team, which will be based on close quarters battle and close combat, as well as a support fire team to do medium to long range shooting in order to protect and suppress your enemies as well. At the same time, the nice thing about this one is that if you got the starting box for Hive Secundus, you have everything you need in order to create this gang, and you can basically take off on the ground running. And up first is your Oras Spire Hunter, which is going to be the leader of your gang. He's going to cost you 365 credits. He's going to be your leader of your gang as well. He's also going to be equipped with the Orrus hunting rig that's automatically come with him. At the same time, he's also going to come with power talons because it automatically comes with the hunting rig as well as twin bolt launchers because it already comes with the rig already. At the same time, you're going to also spend 15 credits in order to purchase this guy a respirator, and we'll talk about reasons why for that in a second. At the same time, when you choose your skill for this leader, you're going to pick the fast shot ability, so that way this character can use shooting actions as simple actions and potentially shoot twice per round, which is what you want to do for this guy as well. Now this fight is going to cost you 365 credits, so a good chunk of your gang's budget is going to go directly to this one leader, and that's the reason why we're not going to get very much for this guy. We're going to pretty much leave this guy stock for the most part. He's going to come with a 4-up armor save, which is already fantastic as well, and he's also got a 6-up ward save as well, which makes it a little more survivable from being shot at and things. His power talons, which he automatically comes with as standard, is actually pretty powerful close combat attack. Assuming that he charges into close combat, he'll have 8 attacks at strength 4 with minus 3 AP, so your enemy's not going to get a really good armor save at all. Strength 4 is going to hurt most things that you can find in the Secundan campaign system, and also causes 1 damage as well. But the big takeaway here is the paired attacks ability, which gives you so many attacks in close combat. 8 attacks, a strength 4 with minus 3 AP and 1 damage, and considering these guys can activate twice in a phase, that is extremely deadly as well. Now the twin bolt launchers, which he automatically comes equipped with, which are the shooting weapons on the back of his talons, are actually pretty powerful as well. They have an 8-inch short range as well as a 20-inch long range, giving you +1 to hit at the short range. They're hitting at strength 4 with minus 1 AP, causing 1 damage, and they also have rapid fire 1. And you can also use them as a sidearm trait if you want to use these things in close combat as well. These shooting attacks are actually quite good at killing most things that you'll be running into in the Secundan Incursion Campaign, so you really don't need to go up with the other weapons like the Volkite weapons or anything like that, because so far so much, those weapons, I mean, they're great and they're powerful, but the problem is they're super expensive, and you really can't afford to actually buy those kind of cool equipment for your Orrus Spyrer Hunter, because then you got to bring your specialists with you in this gang to make you a little bit more survivable. So leaving this guy stock with the power talons and the twin bolt launchers is good enough. If this guy advances later on as well, he's going to be able to increase his capabilities of his weapons anyways, so just keep them because they're powerful enough as it is. Now you are going to spend 15 credits for this guy to get this guy a respirator, and the reason why, just in case you run into any situations where gas attacks are a problem, with that respirator your enemy's got to be able to roll a 5-up in order to wound this guy. Makes him only 1/3 ability to actually put this guy to action with gas or toxin trait weapons, so that's the reason why you're taking the respirator, just to make this guy a little bit more survivable, just in case you're running into situations like that as well. Besides, while the other weapons, like I said before, are extremely strong, they're not really necessary at this point. The reason why is because you're more about putting bodies in your gang to survive the Underhills, and you can develop your weapons and equipment as time goes on as well. Now when you have that fast shot ability too, that means you can also shoot twice with your bolt launchers, which can be great. And because this guy can activate twice, you can do something like, for example, have him move and then shoot. You could have him like shoot twice first with his bolt launchers, then charge in close combat to finish whoever's left over, or you can have him charge in close combat, fight somebody. If there's enemies within range, you can shoot twice later on. Makes this guy extremely versatile as well. And I would actually use this guy as the leader of your assault team because he's so good at fighting in close combat and actually shooting in medium to short ranges. So let's go with your Tech Hunters. Tech Hunter number 1 is going to cost you 130 credits, and this guy's going to be your Augurtek as well. This guy's coming automatically with an armored body glove, giving him a 6-up armor save. We're going to improve that with the mesh armor, giving him a 4-up armor save on top of that. His weapon system is really simple with a simple last gun, and we're going to give this guy the Vox array as well. And the reason why we want this guy is because that way he can perform the find hidden tech post action sequence, looking for archaeotech loot, so that way you can trade your data crystals to get those items. This is the only specialist that can do that, so because of that, we're going to make sure that we have this guy be safe and keep them around along in order to make sure they can do those things as well. We're going to actually take 2 of these guys, but we'll talk about that second guy later on, just so that way you have access to that income system with the data crystals. So it's going to be very important for that. He's going to also have a 4-up armor save with the body glove as well as the mesh armor. Now the last gun, of course, is for support shooting. My recommendation for you is to upgrade that thing with hotshot last packs from your Teknomat later on as the campaign develops, that we have strength 4 shooting as well. The Vox array also gives this fighter the ability to do group activation 1, so basically it's kind of like a champion, so that way you can act as a second in command for your gang, and that way you can actually group activate other fighters with him. And you want to use this guy for the support fire team, doing some long to medium range shooting with that last gun of his. Tech Hunter number 2 is going to cost you 120 credits, and this guy's going to be a Bioteknist specialist. He's going to be armed with the armored body glove, mesh armor, a last sub carbine, as well as servo medicae. Now this guy can perform the medical treatment post-battle sequence, which is going to be extremely important because you don't have access to road docs. So because of that, you want to make sure that you have these guys around to keep your fighters alive in case that they suffer a critical injury. We're going to actually double up on the Bioteknist in this gang and actually have 2 of them, just like we did with our Augurtek, so that way you can get a constant stream of income with your data crystals and at the same time keep your fighters fighters alive as well. Now with the armored body glove and mesh armor, it's going to give this guy a 4-up armor save, which is going to make him quite good. Last sub carbines would be great for close combat, as well as for close range shooting, and also for self-defense as well. It's a reliable rapid fire strength 3 laser submachine gun basically, so they'll be able to use that and protect your fighter as well. Now the servo medicaid is going to be really nice, because what ends up happening is that if you're within a fighter who takes a serious injury, you can take a bait action and actually roll a recovery die for that character before the recovery phase even begins. So that way that guy can get back on his feet again and hopefully be able to fight as well. So you want to make sure you do that. That way you keep your fighters alive, keep them healthy. My suggestion to you is to pair this fighter into your assault fire team, so that way he can actually revive people as you close a distance with your enemy. Secundan Hunter number 3 is going to cost you another 130 credits, and this guy is your second Bioteknist in your gang. He's also going to have an armored body glove as well as mesh armor, as well as a last gun and a Medicaid kit. And once again, the reason why we're doubling up on this guy is so that way you can perform the medical treatment ability, just in case if any of your fighters receive critical injuries or anything like that. Heaven forbid you lose your first Bioteknist, but if you do lose your Bioteknist, it's not a big deal, and the reason why is because you have a second backup one order to help out your gang as well. This guy, of course, is once again going to have a 4-up armor save with that armored body glove as well as a mesh armor, makes them a little bit more survivable. Now, while the last gun is kind of basic, you might want to increase it later on with the hotshot last packs, that we have reliable strength 4 shooting in the future as well. The Medicaid kit that this character is also carrying is also going to be extremely important to help out with recovery dice. That way you roll multiple recovery dice and pick the better one for your fighters in case they get injured, because once again, you can't reconstitute yourself with new recruits if anything happens for your fighters. So you want to make sure that you keep these guys alive. And because this guy is packing last gun, you want to pair this guy up with your support fire team, so that way they can engage the enemy at distance and suppress them with medium to long range shooting. Tech Hunter number 4 is going to cost you 145 credits, and this guy is one of your Gunteks. He's going to be armed with an armored body glove, mesh armor, as well as a long last, as well as photo goggles. Now this guy can perform the fabricate weapon post-battle action sequence at the area of game, so that way you can get some weapons that are free, so long as they cost 25 credits or less. What you have to do is take an intelligence test to see if you can do that. And like I said, that ability is not all that great, so that's the reason why you're only going to take one of these guys. Because if you lose your Guntek, yeah, that'd be tragic, but you know, it's not going to have a huge impact or the development of your campaign. My suggestion is to use that fabricate weapon post action sequence to get things like sidearms for your fighters, like last pistols for example, or last sub carbines if you have to, or you know, if you try to get a little bit more powerful weapons like grenades for example, that could be really helpful for your gang. So things of that nature is what you're going to use this guy for. Now he's going to have an armored body glove and a mesh armor to give him that 4-up armor save, which could be really good, and he's going to have a long last, so that we have reliable strength 4 shooting that you can do at long and extended ranges to take people out. And when you combine that with the photo goggles for this character, so that way they can see in all visibility conditions, that's going to be really helpful for you as well. My suggestion to you is to pair this fighter with your support fire team, so that way you have someone to fire at medium to long ranges with that long last. Tech Hunter number 5 is going to be 110 credits, and your second Augurtek. As I mentioned before, these Augurteks are quite important because they can perform the Find Hidden Tech post-battle action sequence, which gives you access to Archeo loot by trading your data crystals. So you want to make sure you can use that game mechanic as your campaign develops. So we're going to have you double up on these fighters, so that way you can use them in the future, just in case you lose one of your fighters, especially if it happens at the beginning of your campaign. Heaven forbid if you lose your first one, but if you do lose your first one, it's not so bad because you have a second one for backup. Now this guy has an armored body glove and mesh armor, giving him that 4-up armor save, which is going to make it a little bit more survivable. And we're giving this guy a last carbine, so that way you can do some really accurate close to medium range shooting with rapid fire strength 3. I would recommend upgrading this guy later on with maybe a focus crystal, so that way it's got better armor penetration as time goes on. And I would place this guy with your assault fire team, so that way you can get up close and personal with your enemies. And the last fighter for your group is Tech Hunter number 6. This guy's going to cost 250 credits. He's going to be your Teknomat for this gang. He's going to have an armored body glove as well as mesh armor for that 4-up armor save. He's also packing that brand new combo weapon, which is a combination of flamer as well as a man catcher. So let's go and talk about this guy a little bit further. So this guy's going to perform the fabricate war gear post battle sequence, which means that at the end of a battle you can take an intelligence test for this guy and give you a piece of war gear that costs 25 credits or less for free. So you want to use this guy to get your fighters things like hotshot last packs, for example, to make your laser shots more powerful, or focusing crystals to give you better armor penetration, or maybe different types of war gear like grenades, for example, or better armor, or whatever the case may be is what you want to use this guy for the most part. Now, like I said before, he is not as vital as your Bioteknist as well as your Augurtek, so that's the only reason why we're taking one of these guys, because if he should die in the campaign, yes, it would be sad, but it's not going to be detrimental for your campaign for you to progress through that as well. Now, with that mesh armor and body gloves, it's going to give him a 4-up armor save, which is going to make him much more survivable survivable in combat. And that Flamer combo weapon is actually really good. The Flamer is really great because it automatically hits enemies, also triggers Blaze tests as well, and is also strength 4, and Flamers are absolutely fantastic. And the man catcher is actually a nice weapon to be attached to as well, so that way this guy is not as vulnerable in case he gets charged in close combat. Yeah, he'll be only striking at strength 3, but he has -1 AP with his close combat attack. It causes 1 damage. At the same time, also has the entangle trait, so that way it can't be parried. So this guy is pretty good, all things considered, for a close support guy. You want to pair this guy with your assault fire team, so that way it can take points, set people on fire, that sort of thing. And that's exactly how you want to use this fighter. And that pretty much makes up my roster for this one. So there you guys have it. This is my suggestions for your very first Secundan Incursion Gang for Necromunda Hive Secundus, rated at 1,250 points. Like I said before, this campaign is quite unique with some really unique challenges and some really cool game mechanics, so it's a lot of fun as well. And the idea behind this list was to make your gang more survivable and actually take advantage of the Archaeotech system, Archaeo loot system, so that way it can be a little bit more survivable in your campaign as well. And at the same time, I can't wait to see what else drops for Hive Secundus. We're just right around the corner from the Book of Desolation dropping, so I really like to see some of the rules that are involved in that and how these incursion gangs can develop. I'm also really excited to see what they come up with, some unique specialist class for the other houses of Necromunda. It'd be really cool to see exactly what they come up with, like whatever House Cawdor versions of a advanced Tech Hunter would be kind of cool to see. I'd be really excited to see exactly what kind of things get cooked up for this campaign system as time goes on. And as always, stay tuned for future videos just in case anything drops in the future, because I'll be making videos about that in the future. So that's great for this, you guys. As always, please feel free to like, comment, and or subscribe. You guys' input is invaluable to us as always. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram, as well as blog.com for all the latest greatest hobby news related to this channel. That's good for those, you guys. We'll catch you guys next one. Peace out and stay classy.